Yo, what's good? It's your boy Tollax here, back with another reaction video. Today I'm going to be looking at what really happened to the tallest NBA players ever. Make sure you guys please like, comment, subscribe, share if you're brand new, all that good stuff. As I'm on the road to 100 subscribers. I'm basically there, but I think I need 2 more subs. Man, let's get into the video without further ado.
To ever play in the NBA, starting off with none other than Manute Bol. Manute was a giant even among giants. Standing at 7'7", he was one of the tallest players in NBA history. And when he stepped onto the court, he didn't just block shots, he made it look effortless. With his ridiculously long arms and quick reflexes, Bol quickly became known as one of the league's most intimidating shot blockers, averaging an incredible 3.3 blocks per game over his career. In his rookie season alone for the Washington Bullets, he blocked a rookie record 397 shots and averaged 5 blocks per game. He had more blocks than he did points, but he was even more than just a defensive beast. While he was known for his shot blocking, Bol had a few tricks up his sleeve. One of the most memorable moments, of course, came in a game in 1993 when he surprised the world by nailing 6 three-pointers in a single half. Although Bol was never super consistent in any element of his game other than being that tree in the lane tipping shots, I mean, is there anything more fun than watching this guy play? Off the court, Manute's life was even more unique. Born in Sudan, he came from a place where few could dream of making it to the NBA, let alone standing out the way that he did. Hell, this dude was fighting off lions and paying 80 cows for his wife. He barely had time to practice, but due to his height, was able to reach the top regardless. Manute used his fame and fortune to help the people of his war-torn homeland. While other players were buying mansions and flashy cars, Bol sent much of his earnings back to Sudan to...
Man, I ain't gonna lie, this is real inspirational right here. At least you help them back your hometown, you know what I'm saying? Because some people ain't really do it. But the fact that he did it, especially where he lived at, only, like the man said, only a few people would dream of making it to NBA. So this is really inspirational right here.
Thunderleaf efforts during the Civil War. He was deeply committed to making a difference, using his platform to bring attention to issues that were largely ignored by the Western world. But getting back to his basketball career, being nearly 8 feet tall came with its own set of challenges. That height, while a blessing for basketball, was also incredibly hard on his body. Over the years, the strain led to numerous injuries and physical setbacks. And by the end of his career, the wear and tear was evident. In his last 2 seasons in the NBA, Bol appeared in just 19 games on 4 different teams. When Bol retired from the NBA, he left behind a stat line as unique as he was. Over his 10-year career, he played for 4 teams: the Bullets, Warriors, Sixers, and Heat, though he only averaged 2.6
for the Heat? Bro, I didn't know he played for the Heat. I knew he played for other 3 teams, but I never knew he played for the Heat. What the heck?
Points and 4.2 rebounds, but his block numbers were legendary. Bol ended his career with insane 2,086 blocks, ranking him among the top shot blockers in NBA history. Though his offense wasn't great and he had a catapult-like shot, he was incredible to watch. Unfortunately, when he retired, the struggles didn't end. Bol faced a series of health issues, and sadly, in 2010, he passed away at just 47 years old from kidney failure. Manute Bol,
that's not young, bro. When you think about it, that age is young. You know, RP Manute Bol, his son is going to have to carry the torch. You know what I'm saying? I don't know where his son is now, but yeah, he has to. I think his son's on his son. I'm bugging.
Not the best player in the NBA, was a legend in his own unique way. And whenever he was on the floor, he sure as hell gave us a show to watch. Manute paved the way for some other giants to shine, which Taco Fall surely appreciated. Taco Fall is one of the most recognizable giants in recent NBA history. Standing at an incredible 7'6", Taco became an instant fan favorite with his towering frame and infectious smile. Born in Senegal, Taco didn't really know anything about basketball. At the time, he was focusing more on academics, showing a love for science and math, even with the dreams of becoming a biochemist. But standing at 7'3" as a 15-year-old, it wasn't long before basketball coaches began to notice him. He then decided to take his basketball career seriously and moved to the United States in 2012 for his high school sophomore season. By his senior year, this guy was putting up 20 points, 15 rebounds, and 5 blocks per game while dominating from the field, shooting 75%. Even though he wasn't super talented, coaches knew they could turn him into a beast in the right system, which was one of the key reasons he earned a basketball scholarship at the University of Central Central Florida. At UCF, Taco's height and defensive presence made him a star, and his shot blocking ability quickly turned him into one of the most intimidating presences at the college level. During his time at UCF, Taco's development continued at a pretty steady pace. As a senior, he averaged 11 points, 7.7 boards, and 2.6 blocks per game, shooting 75% from the field. I mean, this guy was kind of a cheat code at the college level. Despite not playing top of the line talent, this guy was still D1. And not only was he giant, but his hands were sharp and soft to pair. He led UCF at an impressive 24-9 this season and secured a spot in the 2019 NCAA tournament. In a memorable matchup against Zion Williamson at Duke, Taco nearly led his team to a Cinderella upset, blocking shots and dominating the paint in one of the tournament's most watched games. Though UCF lost by a single point, Taco's performance on the national stage made him a fan favorite and an intriguing NBA prospect. But despite this, Taco went undrafted in the 2019 NBA draft. Many NBA teams were shifting away from classic paint protector big dudes, focusing on more agile players who could stretch the floor and switch defensively. Concerns about his mobility and the NBA's faster pace likely played a role. But just because he didn't get drafted didn't mean Taco's career was over. Shortly after the draft, the Celtics signed Taco to join their summer league team. In his first summer league games, Taco drew significant attention, swatting shots, grabbing rebounds, and hitting a hook shot here or there. His 7'6" frame and 8'2" wingspan made him an instant fan favorite. And by the end of summer league, the Celtics saw Taco's potential to serve as a situational player and unique fan draw, ultimately signing him to a two-way contract. This contract allowed Taco to split his time between the NBA and the G League, where he could gain consistent playing experience while also making appearances with the Celtics. And the few times he did step on the court at TD Garden, fans erupted, and every time Taco touched the ball, the crowd cheered even harder. But Taco never really made a name for himself in the NBA. During his 2 years with the Celtics, Taco played in just 26 games, averaging 2.7 points, 2.6 rebounds, and a block a game, and usually only played at the end of blowouts. Taco, although at times is good for a few quick buckets here and there, is really just a major nuisance to have on your team. Similar to many guys this size, you'll see their insane shooting percentages in limited minutes and wonder why the hell they're not getting more clock. But in reality, these stats are empty and misleading. Similar to guys like Boban, although Taco is not quite as good as him, Taco is good for some easy buckets around the rim, protecting the basket on the weak side for a block and a hook shot here and there. But while they're not doing that, these guys are getting completely exploited. When compared to smaller, more athletic players like a Dwight Howard type, or even at a more average level with guys like Derek Lively or JaVale McGee, a slow-footed tree has absolutely zero chance keeping in front of these guys in the pick and roll, which is the easiest way to expose them, as well as in transition or even off the offensive glass. Taco Fall, although very fun and efficient, was not able to crack any rotation time due to his concrete feet, as well as not being as good at other things like tracking down rebounds, finishing from outside of 3 feet, or staying on his feet around the basket, as a guy like Boban has mentioned before. And heading into the 21-22 season, Taco decided he needed a change of scenery and signed with the Cavs. But once again, Taco's role was limited as he appeared in just 11 games. And as of now, that season will be the last we've seen of Taco in the NBA. He finished his career with averages of 2 points, 2 rebounds, and almost a block. He might not be done just yet.
This has to climb after some time. That's unfortunate, especially if you're that tall. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of unfortunate to hear.
At 28 years old and playing overseas in China, although his NBA career is most likely over, there is a slight chance that he returns. Granted, it would be more of a business move than a basketball. Over, there is a slight chance that he returns. Granted, it would be more of a business move than a basketball move. It's sad that he didn't have a very successful NBA career, something that is far different from the next guy on the list, Mark Eaton. Unlike Newt Bull and Taco Fall, Mark Eaton was a little...
Yes, I ain't gonna lie. He was great defensively, bro. Like, for real. It's just, he was another one too.
Shorter, standing at 7'4", but he was 275 pounds, around 75 pounds heavier than Manute. And Mark had one of the greatest success stories in basketball history. Eaton didn't even consider basketball as his primary focus until his early 20s. In high school, Eaton was actually more interested in water polo and auto mechanics. After graduation, he became a mechanic and seemed settled on that career path until a JUCO basketball coach spotted him and encouraged him to at least give basketball a shot. Eaton took the advice to heart and ended up attending Cypress College in California. California, where he started developing his game. His progress eventually led to a scholarship at UCLA, but even there, Eaton found himself on the bench more than the courts. In 2 seasons with the Bruins, he barely played, averaging just 1.3 points per game. However, his sheer size and defensive potential hadn't gone unnoticed, and Eaton's life took a major turn when he was drafted in the 4th round of the 1982 NBA draft by the Utah Jazz. From the moment that Eaton set foot on the NBA floor, it was clear that his defensive presence was something special. Utah built its defense around him, who quickly established himself as a premier shot blocker. In his rookie season, he led the league with 3.4 blocks per game, and that was just the beginning. In the 1984-1985 season, Eaton had reached his peak of shot blocking ability, setting an NBA record by averaging an astonishing 5.6 blocks per game, an achievement that still stands as the highest single-season average in NBA history. I mean, this year was crazy. He swatted a total of 456 shots, earning his first NBA Defensive Player of the Year award and putting the league on notice, an honor that he definitely deserved. Mark Eaton's dominance on defense continued throughout his 11 years with the Utah Jazz. He led the league in blocks 4 times and was named the Defensive Player of the Year twice in 85 and 89. He even earned himself an All-Star appearance in that 89 season. By the time he retired in 1993, Eaton had racked up a total of 3,064 blocks.
Damn, bruh. Yeah, he has what? Yeah, top 5. He's top 5 in blocks. I see. That is great. At least he solidified himself as a top 5 in blocks. Gainer, whatever it's called, obtainer, something like that.
Ranking him 4th all-time, despite playing fewer seasons than many of the other leaders in that category. He finished his career averaging 3.5 blocks per game, the highest career average in NBA history. Eaton was the definition of a defensive specialist, and his legacy lives on as one of the greatest rim protectors in NBA history. Mark Eaton was a beast, man. On this channel, we've talked a lot of doom and gloom on slower, more traditional big men, which certainly seems to reign true in the modern NBA. But Mark Eaton is living proof that there was a time that these guys reigned supreme. I mean, at over 5.5 blocks a game, this guy could very well be the best shot blocker of all time. And due to his frame being very physically large, unlike guys like Newts, you couldn't have your way with Eaton whatsoever. Although Eaton never had the opportunity to guard guys like Shaquille O'Neal, there's no reason to think that Eaton wouldn't be one of the best diesel stoppers in the league. I mean, at a time where post players reigned supreme, Eaton was one of the greatest defenders in the NBA, and it was certainly cool to see this ultra-tall and slow player build be utilized to such incredible success. Ever since hanging them up, he has since become an incredibly successful businessman, an award-winning motivational speaker, and a best-selling author. That's pretty cool. Up next, we have someone who is tied for the tallest player in NBA history with Manute Bol, the 7'7" George Mirasan. George was born in Romania, and his remarkable height was largely due to a pituitary gland condition, which basically overproduced growth hormones. Mirasan's journey began with playing soccer, but it quickly became a tough fit for someone his size. When he started basketball, he quickly made waves in Romania due to his monstrous size and natural athletic ability, and it wasn't too long before scouts began to take notice. In the 1993 draft, Mirasan was selected by the Washington Bullets in the 2nd round, joining the Bullets as the tallest player in league history. Mirasan immediately drew attention. His sheer size allowed him to dominate the painted area, while a surprisingly soft shooting touch and coordination made him an effective offensive threat. Mirasan truly hit his stride in the 1995-1996 season, his 3rd year in the league. He averaged 14.5 points, just under 10 rebounds, and 2.3 blocks per game, leading the NBA in field goal percentage at 58.4%. For his efforts, Mirasan was awarded the NBA's Most Improved Player Award, solidifying his place as one of the league's most premier big men. That season saw him become a fan favorite, not only for his size, but also for his skill and dedication. Despite his success, Mirasan's size proved to be a double-edged sword. While it made him a dominant presence on the floor, it also put immense strain on his body, particularly his knees and lower back. Injuries began to take a toll, limiting his time on the court and forcing him to miss significant portions of multiple seasons. In the 96-97 season, he played just 20 games, and by the following year, injuries had sidelined him for the entire year. After briefly joining the Nets in 1998, Mirasan's injuries continued to hamper his career, which seems to be a common thing about these big guys if you haven't noticed. Despite attempts at comebacks, his body couldn't withstand the demands of the NBA game, and he retired in 2000 after just 6 seasons in the league. Murasan was a bit of a weird case. Although many report this guy was the tallest player ever and at up near 15 a game, he was an above average player, Murasan never really seemed to get the love he deserved, and there's a number of reasons for that. Murasan averaging just a block and a half per game was not nearly as fun as some of the other guys on the list. He was clearly better than that of the gimmicky game of Manute Bol, as a slow lumbering big man who was just a little more coordinated than some of the other slow trees. Murasan was more of your traditional big man, just a hell of a lot bigger before his body gave up on him. After retiring, George remained active in the basketball world, becoming an ambassador for the game and working with young players. Murasan also enjoyed success outside of basketball, starring in the '98 film My Giant alongside Billy Crystal, brought his charisma and humor to a new audience. He continued to appear in commercials and became a beloved public figure known for his positive energy and sense of humor. Next up, we have a player known more for his dominance than just his height alone. Even made it into the Hall of Fame. You know him, the 7'6" Chinese giant Yao Ming. Unlike many tall players, his height wasn't the result of a medical condition, but rather a mix of freakish genetics, as his parents were both exceptionally tall athletes in China forced to marry. From a young age, Yao showed immense promise on the court, combining his towering height with a high basketball IQ, soft shooting touch, and impressive agility for someone his size. Yao's journey to the NBA began in China, where he played professionally for the Shanghai Sharks in the Chinese Basketball Association. His talent quickly caught the attention of NBA scouts, and in 2002, he became the first overall pick in the NBA draft, selected by the Houston Rockets, making him the first international player ever selected first overall without any prior American, high school basketball, or college basketball experience. But Yao's transition to the league was far from smooth at first. He struggled to adjust to the physicality and speed of the NBA game, and he also barely spoke any English. In his rookie year, he showed flashes of talent and quickly gained respect from his fellow players, including Shaquille O'Neal. Yao's performances would steadily improve, and he ended the season as a runner-up for Rookie of the Year. He also was voted as an All-Star starter, making him the first rookie to start an All-Star game since Grant Hill. By his second season, Yao would establish himself as a dominant force, becoming an All-Star for the second time of what would be 8 straight. He averaged 17.5 points, 9 rebounds, and 2 blocks per game. His offensive game was versatile. He could score with hook shots, fadeaways, and even mid-range jumpers. On defense, his size alone altered opponents' shots, and he became an intimidating presence in the paint. But also, with his mobility and agility, he was able to slide pretty well and was able to stay alive in the pick and roll without being exploited. Offensively, Yao also blossomed in the pick and roll game alongside his star teammate in Tracy McGrady, and the Rockets became one of the Western Conference's most dangerous teams. However, with Yao's height also came physical strain. He played through numerous sprains and fractures, and eventually the injuries took a toll. Yao missed significant parts of multiple seasons with fractures to his foot.
All these people in videos are what ifs. I'm not gonna lie, bro. They're all what ifs.
And ankle, which later required surgeries. The Rockets' hope of a championship with Yao and McGrady began to fade as both stars struggled with injuries, and despite Yao's incredible talent, his body limited his ability to play consistently. In 2011, after battling years of injuries and enduring multiple surgeries, Yao announced his retirement at the age of 30. Despite his shortened career, Yao left an incredible mark on the NBA. He played 8 seasons, averaging 19-9 with 2 blocks per game. He also represented the NBA on a global scale, helping the league gain massive popularity in China and beyond. After his retirement, Yao continued to influence the game. He became involved in the wildlife conservation and promotion of basketball in China and served as the president of the CBA. His legacy was solidified in 2016 when he was inducted into the NBA Hall of Fame. Yao Ming was really one of the best big guys that the game has ever seen. No true weakness in his game other than his inability to stay healthy, of course. The dude was an all-star literally every single season except the 09 campaign, and that was because he didn't play. The man was elite. Yao Ming's journey was unique. Sean Bradley's story, however, is far more disappointing. Bradley's height made him a natural fit for basketball, but his journey wasn't typical. After a strong high school career in Utah, he played just 1 season at BYU, where he averaged an impressive 15-7 with 5 blocks per game. His defensive prowess and height drew NBA attention quickly. However, before entering the league, Bradley took a 2-year gap to serve on a mission trip for his church, which made teams hesitant to draft him. But clearly, they didn't hesitate very long, as Sean Bradley was selected with the 2nd overall pick in the 1993 NBA draft by the Philadelphia 76ers. Bradley's rookie season with the Sixers showed his potential, particularly on defense, averaging 10 points, 6 boards, and 3 blocks per game. Bradley was immediately recognized as a force in rim protection. His shot blocking instincts were elite, and he quickly became one of the league's leaders in blocks, setting the tone as a defensive anchor for Philadelphia. However, his towering frame presented challenges on offense. Bradley struggled with physicality and strength, often finding it difficult to score against much stronger and more aggressive defenders, and he quickly became known for more of his shot blocking than his overall dominance. The 76ers weren't getting what they expected from Bradley, so in 1995, they traded him to the Nets. Bradley's time in New Jersey was short-lived, but showcased his shot blocking talents even further. In 1995-1996, he led the NBA in blocks per game with an impressive 3.4 per showing, which would remain the peak of his career in that category. But despite his individual achievements, the Nets struggled, and Bradley really didn't fit in with the Nets system. So after just a season and a half with the Nets, he was swapped to the Dallas Mavericks in a blockbuster deal, which was an 8-player swap. This was the best thing to happen in Bradley's career. As a Maverick, he continued to be a shot-blocking force with regular appearances among the league leaders in blocks. Playing alongside Dirk, Steve Nash, and Michael Finley, Bradley was a part of the Mavericks' rotation that transitioned from a rebuilding franchise into a playoff contender. His shot-blocking complemented Dallas's high-powered offense really well, and they even had the ability to hide his offensive struggles.
Wow.
However, this Mavs team just didn't live up to their heights, and they were never able to win a ring with Bradley as their big guy. Despite his talents, Bradley was sometimes seen as a player who didn't fully live up to his potential for a number 2 pick. His thin frame and struggles to handle physicality remained focal points for critics. And following the 04-05 season, Bradley retired, finishing his career with averages of 8 points, 6 rebounds, and an impressive 2.5 blocks per game. Paints, and as far as the talent we've covered so far ranks somewhere near the bottom, Sean Bradley is mainly remembered as an enormous NBA bust, moving from one towering presence to another. While Sean Bradley showcased how good tall guys could fit defensively, Rick Smith showed how good tall guys could be on the offensive side of the
ball. This was him. Wow, this was him when he was younger. Because I heard of him before. I just didn't recognize him in this photo. You know, he played on the Pacers with Reggie and like Mark Jackson, back then. So yeah, he was a good defensive player as well.
At 7'4", Smits entered the league as the 2nd overall pick by the Pacers in the '88 draft. His arrival was highly anticipated. Smits provided the Pacers with an offensive anchor in the paint, one who could also stretch the floor with his mid-range jump shots. He had the remarkable ability to move with agility for a man this size, and his soft shooting touch and accurate jump hook were weapons that the Pacers heavily leaned on. His impact was immediate, as he quickly became a reliable scoring option and a key part of the offensive scheme. By his 3rd season, Smits was averaging over 15 a game, and the Pacers were building around him. For over a decade, Smits gave the Pacers a reliable go-to option in the post and the ability to stretch defenses out, something few other centers could do at that time. One of the best moments of Smith's career came in the 1994 Eastern Conference Finals against the New York Knicks. The Pacers were underdogs, but with Smith anchoring the offense and Reggie Miller leading the charge, Indiana pushed the series to 7 games. Although they ultimately fell short, this team was one of the bright spots in the history of the Indiana Pacers. By the late 1990s, Indiana had transformed into a title contender, with Smits and Miller forming one of the best duos in the NBA. In the 1998 season, Smits was named an All-Star, and the Pacers made it to the Eastern Conference Finals once again, only to lose in a hard-fought series to Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls. In 2000, Smits and the Pacers did something that they could not seem to do to save their life: make it to the NBA Finals, as this would also mark the first time the Pacers made it in franchise history. Unfortunately, they lost to the powerhouse of the Los Angeles Lakers, who were led by Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant, who would kind of dominate Smits in 6 games, but at least he's not the only guy who got destroyed by Diesel in his prime. Despite all the success, Smits faced his own set of challenges, particularly with his feet. The strain of playing for years at such a height led to chronic foot pain that ultimately cut his career short. Following the 2000 season, Smits retired at the age of 30.
Bro, these injuries are no joke, and with all these injuries, these players will be, still at a consistent rate, or they'll probably be better. So that's why some of these players are what ifs, especially in these videos, because all of these players are actually what ifs, if you really think about it,
Choosing to prioritize his long-term health over the NBA success. He finished his career with impressive stats, averaging 15 points, 6 boards, and 1.3 blocks per game over 12 seasons with Indiana. Today, Smits is remembered not only for his size, but for the finesse game over 12 seasons with Indiana. Today,
Patrick, yeah,
Smits is
talk man.
remembered not only for his size, but for the finesse and versatility that he brought to the center position. He was a pioneer of sorts for big men, who could score from mid-range and beyond, and he paved the way for future players to expand their offensive game beyond the traditional center role. Smits may not have been as flashy as some of his peers, but his talents and role was crucial to the Pacers' success. And that offensive firepower Smits showcased was taken to a whole new level with the talents of Ralph Sampson. Last but certainly not least, we have Ralph Sampson. The 7'4" giant began his journey at the University of Virginia, where he became a college basketball sensation. He was a 3-time National Player of the Year and was widely regarded as one of the greatest college basketball players ever by the time he entered the NBA. Scouts were captivated by his rare mix of size, mobility, and skill. Unlike many other big men who primarily operated near the basket, Sampson had the unique ability to handle the ball a bit, shoot from the mid-range, and even run on the fast break, making him a unique prospect for the Houston Rockets, who selected him with the first overall pick in the '83 draft. Sampson wasted no time dominating the NBA. During his rookie year, he averaged a crazy 21, 11, and 2.4 blocks, earning the Rookie of the Year award and a trip to the All-Star game. With his combination of size, agility, and scoring ability, Sampson quickly became a nightmare matchup for opposing teams. The Rockets knew they had something special with Sampson, and just a year later, they drafted another future Hall of Famer, Hakeem Olajuwon, forming one of the most promising front courts the NBA had ever seen. Together, Sampson and Olajuwon would form the Twin Towers, a duo that was expected to dominate the NBA.
They were low-key Twin Towers too before that phrase started becoming popular. You know what I'm saying? And other teams start having Twin Towers nowadays. Most teams don't even have Twin Towers nowadays. I'm not gonna lie. Back then they did. Like for example, D-Rob and Tim Duncan. You know what I'm saying? And the list goes on.
The NBA for the years to come. In the 85-86 season, Sampson and Olajuwon led the Rockets to an impressive 51-31 record and an appearance in the NBA Finals. One of Sampson's best moments came in the Western Conference Finals against the heavily favored Los Angeles Lakers. In Game 5, with the series tied 2-2, Sampson made an iconic buzzer-beating shot to eliminate the defending champions and send Houston to the finals. His quick over-the-shoulder shot in midair remains one of the most unforgettable moments in Rockets history. Unfortunately, the Rockets wouldn't overcome the Boston Celtics, but Sampson had cemented his place as a force to be reckoned with in the NBA. Despite his early success, Sampson's career took a dramatic turn as injuries began to plague him. A combination of knee and back problems limited his mobility and took away some of the explosiveness that had made him so dominant early on. Although he showed flashes of his former self, he struggled to stay on the court, missing significant time due to reoccurring injuries. He would go on to spend brief time with the Sacramento Kings and the Washington Bullets, but by this point, his health had severely limited his effectiveness, and he was no longer the same player who had once captivated fans and scouts alike. By the time he retired in 1991, Sampson's career averages stood at 15 points, 9 rebounds, and 1.5 blocks. While these numbers reflect a solid career, they don't fully capture the impact he could have had if he'd been able to stay healthy. Sampson's early years in the league offered a glimpse of what might have been one of the most dominant NBA careers in history. He had shown that big men could be more than just low post scorers and rim protectors. They could handle the ball, shoot from outside, and even lead the fast break, and paved the way for some other guys to step outside of that mold of a traditional big man. If you enjoyed this video, I recommend checking out this other one I made on the craziest duos of all time that just didn't work out. And as always, I'll see you boys.
Yeah, that was a good video breaking down what happened to the top 8 players, and this was my reaction video. So you guys make sure you like, comment, share. If you're brand new, it's been your boy Tollax. I'm out. Deuces.